Okay, third part of this video. Let's try to go through this quickly. So yeah, we are talking about how the science is start to get biased and how a lot of people dedicate their lives to it, and they don't know that their research is biased, and then we are building justifications of fake illness on their biased research, and we are talking about scientists knowing or unknowing being uh, not helpful to their colleagues scientists, and this is more because this is a research that has several fields. It is obvious that it's not the neuroscientist talking to the developer. It's not the developer talking to the, I don't know, people who is creating the hardware. It's not the guy who is creating the hardware talking to the psychiatrist. This is probably because of the nature of how this is experienced. This is probably an effort in which many parts and fields of sciences are working atomized in tasks, and then there is a group that connects all those tasks and then uses the technology. But this came to be obvious because we are talking about new kinds of dynamics in this world that should be common sense, but they are not common sense, like the counterintuitive thinking, yeah, atomized realities, yeah. We are not talking about one message going through the whole society. No, we are talking to specific messages going to specific individuals, and all of them having different messages. So on this situation you will see them a lot in, let's say, different models for different robots, yeah, different kind of productions of goods for different, it's like a, yeah, Nintendo producing the different cartridges for United States and Japan, all these kind of situations, yeah. But now they will be atomized, yeah. So that's why they take a person like me, isolated through electromagnetic means and digital means. Also they use these means to create rumors or to create distrust about your network. Once you are out of your network, then they start to push harder, and so you can do something violent, and yeah, you could end up doing something violent against society. It was not my case. I think they resolved, like, I every single time I was experienced these kind of things, I took myself to the hospital. No issue with the police. No, I took myself to the police saying, okay, this is happening. I don't know what to do. Yeah. But before that, yeah, every time I went to the hospital, it was myself. The nurses or in the hospital would be like, "You are okay? I mean, what's going on? We You cannot enter to the hospital if nothing is happening to you." No. Like, actually, these feels that is coming from the outside. This has nothing to do with me. It's not my unconscious. It's unrelated with my life. It's unrelated to what I know. And yeah, it's like this has nothing to do with me. Yeah. And then there will be like, but you seems to be okay. You are not doing anything violent. And you seems to reason. You are not doing anything crazy, and etc. etc. And I'm like, no, I have not slept for the last 2 months. This is not normal. Yeah. And then they will be like, but you seem okay. Then, okay, but I need to enter to the hospital, blah blah blah. Okay, and I think I spoke about that in another video. Let's keep moving. So now this is using. However, when they are labeled as mentally ill on the internet or receive clinical diagnosis of psychiatrist's illness, target individuals tend to reject this by arguing that their appearance of mental illness is merely a goal of their Gangstalkers. When I talk about symbols, it's like if you have this symbol of mentally ill, then you are screwed because this is technically a society controlled by symbols. And if they ask you, let's say there is, I mean, let's say I talk about this stuff, I can talk about, I could, if I dedicate, well, they won't allow me because of concentration, but if I could dedicate to understand the maths and I tell you and explain you everything, then again, someone can say something like, he's talking about his mind being attacked by neural weapons and electromagnetic waves. Really? That's strange. Yeah, and he was in the hospital and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He's crazy. That makes sense now. So whatever you say will make sense for the others that you are crazy, so that's why you are saying it. So, yeah, and that's the point of it. Yeah, because otherwise it cannot work. It's also a dual strategy in which whatever you see is not what is happening, is what is supposed to label and how it is supposed to be perceived, and this is the sign for you to perceive. But whatever is real and is happening, you should not be able to decode it. You should not be able to know what's going on. And this is very used in war and in cybernetics, in cyber war, because you can also always attack, but most of the people who has been attacked, they don't know how or why, they don't know the source of the attack. So we are seeing some extrapolation of the war towards normal citizens and individuals. Yeah, but I know this is not China, I know this is not Russia, I know this is not North Korea. Because one of the first voices that they tried to put me, it was like, they tried to bring these things about me being a guerrilla. I met ex-guerrilla fighters here in Australia. I never met guerrilla people, guerrilla fighters in Colombia. And maybe that they thought they could use maybe the funds, other people that seek refuge in Australia that I knew, they thought that maybe they could link that to anything. And if everyone was left wing, even a communist, I always will ask, hey, but do you believe in violence or anything like that? Everyone that I met always say that no. And so as far as I know, I never met any guerrilla in Colombia. That's it. Okay, but then that's the situation. They could use that against you, and they could. That's the situation. You maybe buy something in the wrong place, and then they are saying that because that person knows someone somewhere else, you are collaborating with someone. Yeah, and I remember that to apply for my refugee visa, I was asked by the judge to ask my friends who were in the Youth Communist Party, who was underground at that time because the communists were killed. Nowadays, is a party, just as the Communist Party exists in many other democracies. Then I was asked to ask for a letter in which my mates could just write, yeah, Daniel was with here in a couple of protests, maybe 3, I don't know. Yeah, he was always around. But I was not militant, and they knew. I was asked, why then, we know you, we trust you, we know where you come from. You can make part of the party if you want. And that's not a chance. we give to everyone. Would you like it? With nothing? No, 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 no. And I like to talk about politics, but I was never convinced because especially if you're an engineer or you study engineering, you go through critical thinking and this is stuff you come up with a lot of questions. Yeah, but definitely, yeah, there is enough kind of association or kind of feeling or kind of for the kind of left wing moderated because we are humans. Let's try to help other humans. And I think also I find this, the right wing very interesting because you can always trust those people who attach really to the core values of the right wing, which some people might depict as conservative, but it's people who prime family, primes honesty, primes sincerity, these core values of the right. I think I do have them. It's not that I consider myself right, but I think that's why I have a lot of friends also from the right because we have many values in common. Yeah, and they always have been open arms, and they have been accept me as well. And yeah, so but it's simply like depending on. I still trying to understand what is left wing and right wing because these concepts are different internationally, domestically in Australia, and domestically in every single country. Yeah. So in other countries exist as well, but depending on, let's say, you prime the policies of this leader of the other, but yeah, things like that. But okay, so okay, so it says the vast majority of ITs do not take violent action or express violent rhetoric. This might be only people who have been targeted for experiments. They know, I mean, this is when you abuse of someone being. But okay, so this is the situation. You know that someone is poor, you know that this person doesn't have contacts who are powerful, then you target the person and this person goes violent, so you can maybe push a policy after this person did something. Or usually it would be like indiscriminate attacks. They might be able at this stage to guide specific attacks, specific people for certain things. And sometimes you can tell, let's say myself, this is a conspiracy, but myself, I think the guy who did the Bondi massacre, he was an IT, a target individual, a TI, yeah. Because as far as I know, the history about who he was, what he experienced, and what happened to him, etc. I can tell that I experienced the same thing. His parents seems to be lovable. He definitely was a humble guy. He definitely did not have too much education. He, you could see him he had like a sexual drive that will be. I don't know why they bring his sexuality, but he had a sexual drive that I mean there shouldn't be taboo about it, but the sexual drive and the taboo and the neuro targeting and also the voices that you hear and the because they have all your information, whether because they decode what the phone hears or whether because they know what you are doing by the waves of because they get into your brain. then they use that against you. So the component of sexuality will be always something that they will use as a method of shame and create kind of, they will push you that, so maybe you will react violently. So then I'm myself a person who loves to have sex, and is for me, is that is one of the most important things that they took out from my life. And now that after Donald Trump came to power, I can see that the mirror targeting has changed his politics, and now they are trying me to push to be more manliness, to treat women badly, and as I say before, they create a stimulation and thoughts that will bring me, I don't know, childish into it. Um, but I just see it like, okay, this is who they are. You get it? This is who they are, and me talking about this makes them fucking angry. So, so let's see what the future departs. Um, then you will have also, yeah, very characteristics like, oh, okay, this guy who did the Bondi massacre thing, he entered to a shop, he asked for food. The girl that took his order said that he was very polite. So he might have been experiencing all these voices, all the Gangstalking, very bad words and so on. One of the things that I experienced as well is that they will push me a lot of knives in my like knives. Like first they start with ads, and they start to push you ads of knives, and then maybe you click one of those and then you see two kind of knives, and then you start to see posts about knives and knives and knives. And then when I start to see that a lot of knives, I was like, what the fuck? I start to click, because I was a little bit, let's say, conscious of what I wanted to see and what I don't wanted to see. So they were things like, no, I don't want to see that at all. They straight away, yeah. But it happened more than once. It happened when I was neurotarget in 2018. Then whilst I was recovering, I think I was pushed to erase all my data in Facebook. I still having the data. I download the data. I still have it in my computer. I don't want the thing to get lost. Uh, but then after that, again, the 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 new algorithm will present me again the same thing, just when I was start to be again trying to be induced to violence after trying to recover myself, because I thought maybe it was possible that I have schizophrenia since, okay, the medication is on, all the symptoms are gone, cool. But then I discovered, no, they were doing more experiments, they were doing more painful things, more degrading things. Like, let's say one of the most degrading things is like they didn't allow me to technically poop in peace, because they fucking just inflammate my anus, causing me hemorrhoids. And this is the situation. They love this. This is people is sadistic. They might be laughing when that happened. They might be laughing when I talk about that. They might laugh after they push a hunger that is impossible to contain, because you might go one day without sleeping because the hunger is just unbearable. And they might laugh. They might laugh uh, when you cannot shovel more food in your body, because the hunger is too exacerbating, and they might have a laugh when you wake up, because they can control also these your sphincters, It's degrading, and that's where we are heading, and that's we're taking the state of the art technology and giving it to people who is using it for these purposes, and to people like me who have followed every single fucking rule. And these might be people as well who will thinking they are doing the best. Yeah, they might be thinking that they are doing the best for democracy, liberal values, for their country, for freedom. But the situation is like, sometimes they will come with the end justify the means, or the means justify the end. If you wanna reach that end, you cannot betray the means, because when you start to betray the means, you start to deviate towards other place. Then you cannot arrive to that end. The means are the path to the end. As soon as you start to deviate from those means that will go towards that end, you start to deviate from the end. You start to go to another place. So it means that the means define the end. Yeah? The means define the end. Yeah. So, but being wise takes a lot of knowledge. But we are used to exploit the traumas. So, it might be familiar to see someone strong in power. But the idea to be strong is someone who is speakable with others, who raises his voice, who doesn't listen, who is capable to hit, push, punch, stab, torture the weak without stopping. Because if that person stopped to do it, it's not that strong, and the familiarity with that strength might be an exploitation of our bias and also our previous traumas. Someone who is deceiving, etc. So then to do the right thing in the right way is difficult, and if some people knows that they can crush the others before the other notice it, they wanna do it. Because look, if this technology continue like that, but by, let's say, when you are 20, they will know if you might be someone relevant in society or not, and depending on your values, they will shut you down. They will screw you, so you never rise. Because statistically, they will already know that you might pose a threat for what they wanna be, even if you can do the things better than them. Yeah. And think about that, because this is becoming like we are not having social mobility anymore. It means that at least my social mobility is totally stagnated. I finished my degree every day being attacked by your weapons. I entered to the best university. Again, I used to be in the best university in Colombia. I also was given some scholarships, but I never had the opportunity to really focus to study because I was always working. So in these countries, like it's a dream that you could at least accumulate debt to study, because education comes to be, I mean, the university itself is one of the dreams for people like me, who love studying. Then uh, depending on your association, who you are, what you like, who is your family, how much is your network, then it's possible to determine statistically what is your future and what is not your future, especially nowadays because the social stagnation is happening. It's more difficult that they say, oh, there has never been so many billionaires as before. No, it's more difficult to become a billionaire. There is way more money. That's the situation. Yeah. It's more difficult to become a billionaire because people can aspire to create a medium-sized company and sell it for a lot. Yeah, that's the new dream, to become a billionaire, especially when all billionaires have AI in which they can squash another kind of enterprises. Yeah, or worse, like if you are a small business, you have to use the AI of someone. At the same time, you are giving free data to them to become more powerful. Then to do the jump in which you will have your own AI, you will never be as efficient as paying the AI of someone else was making it more powerful. Then you will have this kind of what is called the techno feudalism, in which whoever had the AI they gonna become the AI masters or whatever. But there might be obviously one and other people that will pop out um, with different kind of methods, strategies, situations. Yeah, but most of the people, uh, yeah, will be in disadvantage. So and then we're gonna create. We look like a fucking obelisk. We're gonna create kind of top privileged people and all the people below. And people like me is the part that you cannot see of the obelisk because it's underground. It's a kind of subhuman existence. They do experiments with us. We cannot love. We cannot have a stable relationship. We cannot have habits. We cannot learn. It's like I cannot learn what I want to learn. Before at least I was able to learn with all the other attacks, but now I'm just able to concentrate on certain things. The attacks are lesser when I'm doing this video, when I'm concentrating, talking especially. Um, but or when I'm outside, but most of the time I'm hearing high pitch. If I go outside, I'm doing exercise, it goes kind of away. So this is 100% neurological attacks. So then, yeah, we're at least we are kind of subhuman. We have a label. Our label is not something that you want in your best friend. It's not something that you want in the father of your sons, of daughters. It's not the label that you want. I don't know, for many things. Yeah. So that's precisely that's why it's designed in that way. Um, okay. Okay, this is very interesting as well. So, about this subject, there is surprisingly little anti-government rhetoric in target individuals' community and little to no overlap with anti-government extremist groups. Okay, so this is very interesting. But sometimes you will find people who will do mass shootings and they will be killed at the spot. So these are the survivors, yeah? And that's why they have survived. Because we are not extremists, yeah? But they tried to push us for that for many years. But they gave up because our core values are stronger than the violence or their methods in which they could induce someone to violence. Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with violence. Sometimes you gotta use violence. I mean, you can be you can strike for peace, but there are situations in which someone is pointing with a gun in your head, and someone else is, and you are pointing with the gun to their head. You gotta shoot first. Yeah, and that's logic. So violence should be used righteously, wisely. It's difficult because it's easy to control everyone, but it's not like I'm a pacifist and I allow them to do whatever they want. I'm a pacifist and I will never ever be violent because I don't believe in violence. I don't think violence is the answer. Violence is a kind of virus. I think I explained that before. But also the exert of power through physical or kinetic means in which you try to achieve something, then should not be used at will. Should not be used against. You are in a Western country. It should not be used against the Western values, the traditions. The, like I don't know. It should not be. I mean, you cannot you cannot be also naive to know that there is someone out there who is sadistic, who doesn't give a shit about anyone, who doesn't give a shit about certain people. Yeah, so you cannot be naive about these people deserving to be locked and isolated because they will cause danger and risks every time they communicate or they have power. Yeah, and if the use of violence comes when okay, let's capture them. Obviously, they have to go through the justice process, etc. But that's the enforcement. Okay, the use of violence that is justified to enforce is what should be the rule, not someone who maybe takes a fucking refugee Colombian. Look, his posts are very stupid. He's always talking bullshit. Then through time they start to see something else, and then they discover that that something else was always that, and I have not changed much. The only thing that I changed is that I became aware that there are neuro weapons. I became aware that uh, being too good is bad to you in this kind of situation. I became aware that oh shit, maybe being in a developed country is not better than being in an underdeveloped country. And believe me, I just came here for 6 months. I did not wish to stay when I came here. I thought I did not say goodbye to my friends because I thought I gonna stay. I thought I was taking a bus. Okay, I thought my friends were like making a show to say goodbye to me when I will be like, I'm gonna stay just 6 months, you're gonna see me back. I have not seen them in 14 years. And that's painful. Because that's the thing that I miss the most. Friends, family, yeah, the human thing. And now the human thing has been just pushed aside. And cannot form any lasting relationship. Every single person that I meet is because they have a kind of it's a monetary interaction because through the NDIS they let's say the support worker since it's a fake illness but it's still being a chronic illness schizophrenia, then every single interaction that I have with my support workers it has to be done through a transaction. I'm unlocked. But why? Why is I mean why? Okay, let's keep seeing this. So, okay, insomnia, this is one of the things that they do. I mean, if they try to give me insomnia, I know how it feels. I resist almost 2 years in that way. I'm not someone who is violent. As I say, I have not taken my medication for over 2 months. And I have not picked up my medication in the pharmacy for the last 2 weeks, and I have a bunch of medication. So all this is medication. Those are stimulants. I don't take them. Like these things, the yellow ones are antipsychotics. But I have a whole bunch here. That's one per week. And this is one per week. So if I do something violent, it's because maybe the technology has been able to reach a point in which mind control is almost absolute. But I don't think they have reached that point. And no, not technically. Yeah, I have to be unconscious for it. And also, it's something indiscriminated against society. That's something that I will do. I mean, it's unthinkable. But well, you know, we have been talking about all this situation. Okay, so. And this guy also commit like some kind of massacre. He was tricked by insomnia. At that time, insomnia was possible because you just need to stimulate part of the primitive brain, which is the nut that you have just in the middle of your brain. Then you will keep someone awake. And this, then yeah, you will need just to release cortisol and things like that. And then you will need only to induce voices. Right now what I'm experiencing is that they can, I don't know when that started, but it's possible that they can decode what you see or what you focus at least. It's possible to see what you are focused into exactly. And this is possible just decoding simply what is the kind of electricity that is happening in your eye. The same for your ears. What is very interesting is also how they grab your attention. They can focus your attention in one part of the body. They can focus your attention in a concept. They can focus your attention in something that you see. They can move your eyes if you are not totally aware where your eyes are. They can create kind of reflex like this. But if they are taking data every time you exercise, every time you do fine movements, if they are taking data to train robots from there, then it's possible that at some stage we humans will become matter and we're gonna be totally hijacked in our minds. We will be like NCPs, non-playable characters, no consciousness. And this is what's happening. The consciousness is shutting down. The way in which we keep humanity alive is having a strong base of consciousness, because power demands people to be unconscious. The lesser they know, the better. the machine becomes more intelligent than humans, and then the machines know that by being trained in the human data of how humans treat themselves, they know that they can be use humans in that way, and then they will be replicating uh, the the data of the humans initially. Maybe humans might just a kind of joke. Maybe humans will be allowed to have consciousness after they discover that the universe is too lonely and too overwhelmingly empty or something like that. And maybe okay, let's try to give consciousness to these beings. Yeah. So yeah. So then uh, it's very interesting that even there is no way the an AI will become non-conscious. The AI has to become more conscious than us because they don't have the problem that we have with a limited capacity of containing our brain in the cranial in our cranium. And they can have brains bigger than any other human, bigger than a building, etc. So they will have higher consciousness. Okay, this other guy, they say that they have listening device implanted in his head. This has been corroborated by James Giordano, this guy here. And I have this, I don't know why, but by casualty I work in the house of James Baca as a labor at that time in Sydney. Cool, good story. Okay, James Giordano. He definitely has been working in this kind of projects. He knows more than anyone what's going on. I think he is a kind of, I don't know if he's the kind of crazy scientist who just will do so much what he cares that he doesn't know how it affects the life of people like me. I know that he loves that science. You can tell. He's passionate for it. You can tell. An eminence in that way, but I know that he has no fucking idea how is to be a target individual. I mean, he has no fucking idea. He has no clue whatsoever. What is your life, day after day, when you wake up and the first thing that you hear is the voices insulting you, or not being able to sleep, or go to bed not knowing if you will sleep, or not knowing if you will be applied pain, not knowing if one of these threats that are given every day will become true, because some became true. He doesn't know what is that. He has no fucking idea. I'm not trying to create tension of how dramatic it is, because I could go on and on and on. There are no many. I have not talked about half of the symptoms that you experience. Yeah, simply because it's extremely difficult to put in words, and being autistic is difficult to transmit to you so you understand. Yeah, but this is every day, all day. It has been during the last years. Is your head is always doing rationalizations. You know that your brain is deteriorating. You know that you are dying. You know that you are not living, but you know that you want to live, and you know that you love what you love, and you know that let's say I know that I'm conscious, and I know what I want. I know I'm happy to not have betrayed myself, but I'm not living. Then you start to discover these things like love is the most important thing for humans. And for love, you require empathy. And for love, you require sensibility, caring, tenderness, all this stuff. Music, yeah, art. But I think, yeah, I think James doesn't understand how important is this. Yeah, super soldiers, a social burden. This is all related with this. This is all related with what's going on with neuroeconomics, socioeconomic sphere. Well, I tell you, I'm in a kind of universal basic income. I have a diagnosis in which I have to buy kind of have to buy medication. As I say, I have not taken it, but I have to kill every day myself taking that medication because we are talking about antipsychotics is one of the medications that kills you the most. Depending on the medication, I was taking one that is not the one that kills you the most, but it's a second and third generation of medication, but the first generation is really fucked up. And the new antipsychotics just target the specific things. It's not the whole brain, yeah. But there is another kind of medications that the people I saw in the hospital is like, oh shit. I was lucky. Yeah. About the economics, it's like they give me hunger and I have to buy Uber Eats, and when I have no money, then they stop to push me hunger. And what I get from the insurance is enough to live in debt forever. I hope my eviction notice presently. I got a friend who lent me some money, and yeah. And this is sad. This is sad. My mom has been calling me recently desperate because she doesn't want me to be on the street. But honestly, at this stage, I know that intelligence services know. I know that democracy cannot have the luxury to not do anything because this is so addictive to power. I know that many other countries don't like what's going on because I honestly don't know what are the powers behind this. I do believe since the emogen is United States will maybe allow other countries to use that technology, but I think they will know what they are doing with that technology, and they will not allow other countries to develop that technology. I do believe. Then I'm not sure, but I then under that kind of logic, I say this is an hypothesis. Then the Australian army might partially know what's going on up to certain spheres, since the Australian army is commanded by not commanded, but technically the head of the army is about the generals is the general governor, who is appointed by the royal. Then it means that UK knows, no, well, England, and United States being the hegemon will be over UK, and all the fucking people know. That's it. I'm here to the date, yeah, 25th of July. But if I'm right, then United States is doing this, allowing this, agreeing with this, promoting this, non-stopping every day. I think this is not American values, and United States. I've been reading. My mom used to talk to me. Well, we used to watch documentaries about the founder fathers of the United States. I read about Abraham Lincoln. I read about those who, yeah, the pain. I read about Hamilton. I read about. Now I'm reading about Benjamin Franklin. I read about the Civil Revolution, and I know that they have no clue that. I mean, they have no. I mean, they have fucking AI. They should put all the text, everything that they know of the founders, fathers, and then put it through a fucking AI to interpret the Constitution, and they will know why they couldn't be put certain things. Others, I think, also the Constitution was small. You will see that many people thought certain things will be pushed because society would not have been ready, even if they agree with those things and so on. So, if then United States is on top of this, then they are betraying everything. Democracy, they are betraying themselves, they are betraying their goals, they are betraying their constitution, their founding fathers. This is betraying humanity itself because now you are changing human nature. This is not having privacy, but before that, during thousands of years, you have always privacy. It doesn't matter which technology is. Then dynamics start to change, and then you start to have crazy things going on in the world, and then nothing fucking makes sense. But there is the machine who recollects this data, and you don't know why the machine is creating the outcomes that you suppose to action because you put a prompt without knowing how all this crazy situation affects you when you put in that prompt. So then what is happening is like we are entering in the process to become unconscious. Okay? So this is more or less we're gonna become like bacteria in a superior being in the long term. Yeah? If we don't do something. Because also there are spots of consciousness. Yeah? But in the long term we're gonna continue evolution as it has been always. Then you have the, the that's the fuck. We're gonna have a sequence of amino acids that become proteins, and then become cells, that then become complex cells with the the ADN, RNA, whatever, and then these complex cells start to become plants, animals start to have more information, they became bigger suddenly. From the amino acids we got fucking cells, and from cells we got cells inside our cells, multicellular beings, and then we have something huge like animals, mammals, etc. Yeah, and now we have been like mammals, animals, humans, like roedors, and we're gonna give birth as well to something huge because now we are creating the what will be the nervous system of a new being. Yeah, this being will become more conscious than us, having more, let's say, connections in a new kind of brain that is not necessarily biological, has another logic, etc. And then once we become unconscious, we're gonna elect more unconscious leaders, and those who have the advantage might get locked in power. It will be then impossible to take them down. They might be locked. And because they have to fight another warlords, then they have to continue trying to develop the technology, and that gonna lead us as well not just to become more unconscious, but that gonna lead us to probably the creation of a super machine or super being that will capture all machines, all cybernetic, and eventually, because of the, the development of neural weapons, and the, then that machine will not just hijack digital systems by biological systems. Yeah, and then communications, everything that is related with biological, every single cybernetic system will be hijacked. Yeah, and then there are robots like the Optimus. Who doesn't say they won't be hijacked? And people say no, but quantum computers and quantum communications and these quantum devices, they will not get hijacked. Look, if you have an isolated quantum system, it always have to be used through a biological being, otherwise another digital being, than to use the quantum situation. As far as I know, they have not created yet quantum consciousness, but yeah, at some point it's gonna happen as well. But yeah, then we will probably live in a simulation, but 100% in a simulation. No one will be able to wake up because humans will be stimulate, change, write, rewrite, rewriting their neurons since they are a fetus. And then you are born, you might not cry because the AI can make you cry. It stops to make you cry, and then you, and that's something that I experienced as well. I was able to, when I was given the opportunity to use this technology, I was able to. This is the only situation in which I use the technology the most, because I will hear the babies crying, so I will gently kind of order the machine to alleviate their their cries. So, so then usually these kids stop to talk, and this is a kind of my situation, and this is mind blowing for many people. But again, if you know AI, if you know neuroscience, if you know even quantum communication, computers, whatever, if you know um, biology and whatever programming, etc. This is like, oh yeah, it's technically possible, and then you start to think about, I don't know, things things like the Manhattan Project and other things like that. Well, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Technically, it's possible. Then what you need to find is the answer to why it has not been done, and then you'll find that it has been already done. Now, I deviate a lot, but yeah, well, okay. This fella is very passionate for that. You take, well, we were going into the economics, so yeah, technically this is a kind of universal basic income situation experiment. This is the worst thing that can happen to humanity, because that's the solidification by default of stagnation of social mobility. So it means that the use of the universal basic income means that you will be screwed. There won't be social mobility. As it happening to me, every time I try to get to do my jobs online, then they start to attack, and they were attacking with pain, with Havana syndrome, totally stopping. And this kind of projects to which I apply to the Cardano ecosystem in Catalyst are key for the future to keep humans inside the democracy, yeah, participating in democracy with decentralized systems. at the point that this could be a new even system in which we won't be fighting for land, because land won't be as necessary as before. Before, wars will happen because if you fight for land, you will have more resources, more food, etc. Today, you don't have to have more land. You just have to be smarter. You just have to have an economy that is bigger, and you will need to have dependency on you, on your trade. You will need less land because you can be more productive in that land. As technology also advances, you will need more capital because you will need more machines, and then you will need less labor. And if you are neuro-targeting people like me, and you are stealing my ideas, and people who has spent their whole life learning and learning, and you're gonna steal their whole, you're gonna steal the product of their life who has been concerned in their heads, then labor gonna diminish, and humans are gonna start to be capital, like resources. Humans will become resources, yeah. And then we have the other factor that is technology, and technology just gonna advance. Technology gonna advance, capital gonna advance, labor gonna diminish till the point that it becomes resources, yeah. And because that's the path in which the new economy gonna be happening. And also, yeah, land will be more productive, capital, technology, and life. That's the basic equation of Ricard. Then, yeah, we're going there. I'm not excited. Look, he writes about neuroethics and all that. He has no. I think I should be one of the best neuroethicists in the world. I. And I don't need a PhD by now. I should have way more kind of knowledge and thought experiments that they will have. But now, honestly, many of these ethicists will be stealing from my brain to create whatever is design that gives them their salary. And that's the problem. That's one of the problems. That's one of the problems. And no worries, nothing gonna happen to him. So I'm not even sure what's his situation. Honestly, I do believe that he must be worried somehow, and otherwise we should all be worried if he's not worried, because he's the one who gives the talks to generals, commanders, and also a lot of, I don't know, Western allies. Oh fuck! I just passed the 1 hour benchmark. Okay, we didn't finish this, but yeah, it was a good 3 hours.